I consider myself a fan of movies. I will give anything a chance, and I never stop watching something halfway through. No, I let it play out. I see where things are going. I give every single film the benefit of a doubt. But sometimes I read about the history of some of these movies, especially some of the worst movies or controversial movies, and I still give them a watch. Some of the movies have even been requested on my channel. I previously did Troll 2 and the Star Wars Holiday Special. But there's some controversial movies out there that are so wacky and gross out that, well, I've never personally got to them. I just kind of avoid them, but eventually, maybe someday, if given the chance, I'll finally watch it. But then there are days like today, where I'm requested to watch something I've been avoiding since the beginning of my film-going career. It's finally happened. I'm trying to delay the point, but you know what you did. You know what you requested. I feel like I've seen quite a few controversial movies that were lambasted in their day for being too ahead of their time or too violent. Every time I give one of these kinds of flicks a watch, I never feel that the bar is raised too high. I just imagine that it's been so many decades and times have changed, so I can't witness these works the same way people did in the 70s, 60s, or before. SALO has certainly never been on my watch list, but I've heard of it plenty of times from other critics or through humorous internet comments. I've always had an awareness of SALO being considered one of the most disturbing things to ever be created, but even with that badge of honor, I didn't think it would be too bad. It came out in 1975, and there's been so many other controversial films since then. I figured I was prepared. This happens to be every ounce of creepy and freaky that everyone has made it out to be. You know what, I'm just gonna show images of puppies for the entire video because I can't even show you most of what occurs in this. At first, things are tame, and I knew the torture was coming. Anyone with a special effects budget can make this stuff look terrifying, but nothing beyond some intense horror movies. Then we get some depictions of unlawful acts that are made for the audience discomfort, but once again, I knew this stuff was coming. It's meant to push buttons and screw with my head. Then we get to the third section, which is... Okay, look, I've seen a lot of weird, messed up special effects in my time. I feel like 1982's The Thing, Midsommar, and the graphic scenes of Tarantino's filmography tend to have some of the most crazy things I've ever watched on screen. But SALO's section, literally titled Circle of Shit, is something else entirely. I know it's not real, I know it's just a movie, but more than once, I wanted to just throw up. It was that bad. I didn't expect this, and once you get to the finale with some really insane torture, it almost feels like a relief because, hey, at least we got out of Circle of Shit. The plot, if you can call it that, is about the rich bourgeois class in 1944 Italy, kidnapping a bunch of teenagers and tormenting them for 4 months straight. That's pretty much it. There's influences from Dante and Marquis de Sade's own novel, The 120 Days of Sodom, and it plays as a reflection for the way the upper class in authoritarian states wield their power against the helpless citizens. They treat them as lesser beings, completely inhumane. That's not a bad message, and I don't expect by the end that the teenagers will rise up, because not every story needs to have a happy ending. I also think that going this far with the grotesqueness could, in theory, make the thesis stronger, because you automatically have an emotional distress for the characters. But truthfully, the moral is obvious from the beginning. So when we have another hour and a half to go with characters that are tortured but are never given much of a perspective and lacking a cathartic ending, I experience emptiness by the end. It feels like torture porn for the sake of torture porn, even though I'm aware that wasn't the creator's intentions. This has been analyzed in so many ways, and it comes off as a statement of pride for cinephiles who've dared watch it. That's the only reason I'll ever feel compelled to talk about it in the future, because now I can say I saw one of the most gruesome pictures ever made. I own the Criterion edition just to dig into the exclusive features, but will I ever give it a second viewing? Honestly, no. This didn't do it for me, and I didn't get any kind of feeling from it other than sadness. Do movies need to tell stories? Do they need to have a finale that makes for an eye-opening experience? When something is controversial, does it make something even more intriguing and better than it is? There's good movies, bad movies, and then there's Salò, which is something else entirely. I thought about it for days after seeing it, but I don't think that counts as being thought-provoking. I couldn't get it out of my head because I saw things I never figured I'd see. That doesn't mean it should be considered one of the great artistic works. It took chances and is completely deserving of its legacy, but I'm not some edgy filmgoer who's going to convince people to check it out. I do not recommend Salò. Thanks to NolanCho for this Patreon request, and thanks to all my Patreon supporters. For only $7, you can get your own monthly movie review. Ask me to review anything I haven't already. There's also other perks like blogs, exclusive videos, and early access. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and thanks so much for watching this video.